Hey everyone, hope you're doing great. It's summer here in Japan. It's super hot, so I want to get outside, but I don't want to wander around, so I'm just out here on my front porch. I'm going to shoot the video out here today. But anyways, in one of my latest videos, my review of the Nikon Z F, I got a really good comment from one of my viewers. It says here, thanks very much for sharing. Very honest and interesting review. Please next time, if you can also talk about the lenses you are using and what you prefer. Seems like people are very interested in learning about the type of lenses that I use, as it is, how you take a photo is not just the camera you use, but also the lens you decide to pair with it. So yeah, great question. Thank you very much. Manostrolinios 1726. I hope that's not your birthday, but anyways, I probably destroyed how do you pronounce your name, but yeah, I think this is a really great idea. It's something I'd love to hear from other professional photographers as well. So I brought out my lenses, and here I'm going to kind of go from the lenses I use the least and talk about the lens and why I don't use it that much these days, and go into the lenses that I use the most. And this will be kind of looking at both my professional work as a professional photographer here in Japan, and also my hobby shooting as well, like street photography and stuff like that. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So I think out of all the lenses I bought over the years that I actually still have and own and kind of keep in my arsenal just in case, that I use the least since I bought it would have to be this retro design 28mm 2.8 fixed lens from Nikon Z F mount. I bought it basically because I wanted to put this on the Z F so I could vlog, and I thought it would be wide enough to be able to vlog with. But when I tried it out a couple times, I found it wasn't quite wide enough to vlog. I didn't really want to keep pulling it out just because I thought I'd be vlogging with the Z F, because I tried and like I said, it didn't quite work out. It is a very, very capable lens, I will say. The image quality when I used it in my review video on my channel, you can check it out. It was great. I mean, I didn't mind it at all. But in the end, for some reason, I just don't pick it up anymore. Like, it's got a really cool design. It works really well with the ZF. For the price range, it is a good lens if you're looking for something at 28mm, kind of a wider lens. So I'm not going to poo-poo on the lens quality or anything like that. Just me personally, I don't really use it anymore. I have used it in a few video situations with my ZF and that, because it is so compact and small. It's great to throw on the front of my ZF when I have it on the gimbal and that. And it's basically the same weight and design as other lenses that I also shoot with video, so it helps when you're using the gimbal. I don't have to adjust it too much. So yeah, in general, out of all the lenses I have, this is the one I tend to don't use much anymore. The second kind of group of lenses actually that I have, but I rarely use these days, just for real specific situations, is my group of vintage manual lenses that I've kind of collected and picked up over the years. Not too many of them. I have 4 at the moment, 50mm macro, Nikon, old school, 55mm macro. I use this for video sometimes when I really want those macro shots for my YouTube and stuff like that, but I never take it out for photos. Manual focus is really difficult for me. It's not something I'm doing much in the street, definitely not with my professional work. Where's the other one? Oh. I have another 50mm around here somewhere, vintage. These lenses cost like $200 down in Shinjuku. Super cheap, very easy to pick up. Great vintage style, but just the manual focusing, not super my thing. I am interested in this Super Takuma lens that I got from my great grandmother actually. I picked it up when I was back home last time. Very, very yellowish kind of lens on there. I hear it's actually radioactive if you look online. And I am looking to do a video with this one. I want to test it out a bit more. So there's that, but I brought it home last year and I think I shot it once. And I did order this Russian lens, which is pretty cool. It is, I don't know what this thing's even called here at the moment. Helios 44-2. This is kind of a crazy lens. I've been using it at home a little bit recently, shooting my children, which I'm not going to show you any images of. Pretty cool lens. I haven't had a chance to test it out much, but again, it's manual focus. So as this is my hobby side of shooting, it's not something I'm going to take to work. Maybe I will. I don't know if I got the time to shoot with this, but the bokeh on this looks absolutely amazing. So I'm interested in trying it out. But again, this is just purely probably for hobby shooting. With the manual focus, it makes it difficult to run and gun and shoot in the style and the speed I need to when I'm shooting professionally. So it looks really cool though. So now another lens that I have that I don't quite use too much for photography these days, maybe more for video, would be the 40mm F2, another smaller retro style design lens that works and looks great on the Nikon ZF, but I haven't really grabbed it that often lately. I mean, if it's in your price range and you're looking for like a 50 or 40 or something like that, it's a great lens. It's really, really compact, works great with the Nikon ZF, image quality is fine, but I tend to not grab it for when I'm out in street these days. And there's another lens that I have that I prefer to use over this that I'll mention in a second. But in general, I've been using this like the 28mm for video more because it's the same size basically and shape as the 28mm. So much so that I get them confused a lot when I'm trying to grab them out of my bag, and that actually I have to look at it. But they also have the same filter mount for the front, so ND filters and stuff go on both of them. The same weight basically. So for video shooting with a gimbal, when I use my ZF on a gimbal, it's easy to switch them out. Whoops. And I don't have to recalibrate the gimbal. So these are actually kind of more for my video shooting these days than photography. They're still very capable, good price range, good design. So if that's something you're at, I would suggest checking them out. It's just I've kind of got other lenses that I'll mention in a second that I prefer over these ones, so I don't tend to grab them too much anymore. Now getting into more of the more expensive professional level lenses that I use for my professional work, I'd say the next one that I use sometimes, but not as often as I wish I could, oh, geez, this thing is huge, is this Nikon F mount. It's a 200 to 500 f5.6. This is a very large lens. It's quite heavy. I need to stick the adapter on here to be able to use on my Nikon Z9. And this is just a massive zoom lens that I tend to not use, and it's only because I'm not in situations all that often where it's needed, the 500mm zoom. I don't shoot surfing, I don't shoot cars all that often, and things like that where I'm required to be very far away from the action. But I do keep it, and I do hang on to it, and every once in a while I do take it, because there are situations where I'm not sure where I'm going to be shooting from, how far back I need to be, and things like that. And it is nice to have an extra large zoom lens in your professional kit, even though this isn't the best optical quality. It's 5.6. Replacing this would be quite expensive to get the best, newest and best one, and it's not something I use. Geez, I'll use it like 5 or 6 times a year. So, and no one's ever complained like, oh geez, your shots from the 200 to 500 suck. You need to get a new lens. It's like, no one notices the quality at all. So for the moment, it's still in my bag when I need it. Now getting up into more lenses that I quite use a bit more often, and something that I really like actually, and this is in my heart, probably my favorite lens out of any lens I have. This is my f-mount 105 1.4 prime lens. This thing is also a pretty big beast of a lens. It is not cheap. This is probably at the time, maybe it was one of the most expensive lenses I bought at the time when I bought it, but it was recommended to me by my friend, Little Shao, who is world famous for breakdance photography. I saw a photo of his that I absolutely loved, and I asked him would he used it, until he'd take it, and I ended up buying it that week. But this is, even though it's f-mount, this is an amazing lens. The bokeh on it is beautiful. The rendering is nice and soft. It's not too sharp. It's really got a nice flavor to it. I use it professionally when I can, but being 105, I do need to be quite a bit further back from my subject than sometimes I wish I could be. I would love to be able to use this in every situation that I could, because I just love how the images look. But in reality, it's a little bit too of a longer of a lens than I need to use in a lot of situations I'm in, if that makes sense professionally. But the look of this is amazing. Don't be shy to pick up old f-mount lenses for your Z-mount system or for mirrorless system, or if you're using non-Nikon, look at older lenses as well and see if you can adapt them. They might be cheaper, older, but the look of them is just amazing sometimes. So if you're looking at lenses and stuff like that, look at the best and the newest, and you're never going to go wrong really with that. But then look at your budget and see what's actually out there that could give you something kind of a unique look to your images. This will always be one of my favorite lenses, and although I can't use it in every situation just because 105 is quite far back, I love it. So yeah, it's a great lens. So yeah, like I want to say, don't sleep on old lenses. Now, another prime lens that I tend to use quite a bit these days, probably a little bit more frequently now, is my 35mm 1.4. Now, I did do a review on the 35mm 1.2, and that lens is insane. It is amazing. It is also, I think, like $4,000, and it is massive, and it's just not something I could invest in at the moment for such a vanity lens. It is really nice though. If Nikon threw it in my lap, I would like just grab it and use it every day if I could. But I've been using the 35 1.4 a lot. I really like the look of it. I like the size of it. It's very compact, quite light. And I use this a lot for like behind the scenes work that I do when I'm shooting with video. I can get in nice and close. I can use the bokeh to help really separate my subject from everything else that's going around. And like, you know, I do take this out a lot when I'm in the street as opposed to the 40mm. More so I will take out the 35mm because this is 1.4, so I get the extra stops. And it's a little bit wider than the 40, even though it is bigger and heavier. I will grab this and throw it in my bag before I grab the 40. Now I don't have an ND filter for this at the moment, so I don't shoot video with it at all. That's where the 40 kind of like trumps this a little bit. But as far as like photography and street photography, I will use this above the 40, and I use this all the time. It's always in my bag when I'm out and shooting the street, just in case. And for professional work, I really like the extra bit of width and the 1.4. I love the look of it, and I use it quite a lot. I also love this lens for shooting pictures of my kids. So as a photographer, I shoot a lot of pictures of my kids. I'm not going to show them here, like I said, but because they're my kids, I can get in really close and really kind of like enjoy the moment with them. Whereas if I'm shooting with the longer lens, it might technically look better, but I'm removing myself from that situation that my kids are in. So if you are looking for, you know, lenses that you can use professionally and maybe for your kids and stuff like that, a 35mm is a great focal length because you're right there with your kids. It's wide enough that you get the whole situation kind of going in, and you can enjoy that moment with them as well. So it's really great. I've been using it a lot, and I have tons of photos of my kids with this lens. So another kind of like a lens that I tend to use on almost every job that I'm doing in some which way or another, and I also love using out in the street, is my 85mm 1.8. Again, Nikon has 1.2, I think it is, and that is a beautiful, crazy nice lens, which I did a review on. And again, if Nikon threw that in my lap, I would eat it up. I would love to have that lens. But for me, I invested in this one, and I do not regret it at all. For me here in Japan, doing street photography, I do not like doing street photography with a 28mm. It's too wide, and I need to get too close to my subjects. The 35mm, I will do street photography, but that's more when I want to show the entire environment. When I want to get pictures of people and things like that, the 85mm is where I go. I like being removed from people in the street. People in Japan here really, you know, respect that distance. They don't want me in their face. They don't want me there. They won't say anything, but you know, they hate it. So I avoid it. So the 85mm for that is great. Image quality is amazing. I've shot a lot of photos I really like with this lens. Again, size, weight is great. Yeah, if you're looking for a good all-around prime lens for street and you can use professionally, I think this is a great kind of lens to have. A lot of makers have them. 85mm, like I said, gets you a nice distance away from the street. And for shooting professionally, I really like how this 85mm compresses enough that everything is nice and straight, and it's not wide and distorted. I love this lens. I use it a lot, and I tend to really use it a lot. Another lens that, you know, I used to use a lot, I used to use quite a lot on my F mount camera, on my D5 and that. But switching over to mirrorless, I've used it less and less, and mainly because even with the mount, it doesn't have autofocus anymore. This would be my 16mm Nikon. It's an AF fisheye, so it should be autofocus, but it's, 2.8 fisheye. I don't not use this. It's now manual, so it's only manual lens. And this is probably the number one lens I want to replace. I want to get like a 14 to 24 or something, or another 16mm or 10mm. There's a bunch of different lenses out there I'm looking at the moment. So I really want to replace this, but I still tend to use it. One place I really used it a lot this year was during the X Games. I was up on the vert ramp, so I was using it quite a lot there. So as a professional action sports photographer, having a wide angle lens is really kind of important. It's a really cool angle that you can get. I'm allowed to get super close. So having the fisheye is really, really great. I would use it more, maybe, but this is manual focus, like I said. So in certain situations, I still use it, but it is the #1 lens I want to replace at the moment. So yeah. Now this video is getting a little bit long. Hopefully you're finding it interesting. If you have any questions or comments about what I'm talking about, hit me up down below anytime. And hey, don't forget to subscribe. But yeah, now on to my last two lenses, which are really, really strictly ones that I only use in my professional work. And generally 90% of the time it's when I'm shooting events. So the one I use less than the other would probably be this one. This is my old school f-mount 70-200. Now, just like the fisheye, this is a lens I would like to replace, but this still works great. I've had it for many years. It's got quite a few little scratches and dings on it, so I don't think I'll get much money for it if I try to sell it. But during events, this is something that is really, really helpful, a 70-200, 2.8. Great bokeh, great speed and autofocus, great range of zoom for any kind of sporting event or any kind of other event that you're doing where you need a lot of flexibility in your zoom. A 70-200 is great. There's a couple different options out there, like Nikon has a 70-180, which is a little bit cheaper than their newest 70-200 Z mount. There's a lot of different options you can get for these kind of zoom lenses. But if you're starting out in event shooting and things like that, these are kind of like the go-to, you kind of really could use in your kit. You really never get to a point where you're not going to use it. That's what I'm saying. I've had this forever. I tend to, the type of shooting I do and the events I do, I'm a little bit closer to the action than is required for a 70-200. But as far as my professional work and events, this is always in my bag. I never forget it. And it's something I grab quite a lot. Will I ever take this out in the street for my own shooting? No, it's too big. It has too much of a, it's too easy to notice, and I don't need that much zoom when I'm out in the street. I like to keep my kit really small. So yeah, if you're just a street photographer, probably a bit of overkill. If you're getting into events and things like that, portraiture, this is really nice to have for portraits as well. There's a lot of things you can do to the background with a 70-200 that you can't do, say, with a 50 mil. It's a really, really versatile lens. And yeah, if you're just starting out, look at used ones, look online for used ones as well. But 70-200 is something that is really, really versatile and something that I think you really need as an event photographer like myself. And last, but very much not least, as far as my professional work goes, like I said with the 70-200, as far as the event and things like that, and kind of run and gun shooting that I do, say, for Red Bull and things, the one lens I probably end up using most in the day is a 24-70. Really, bread and butter lens. This one's 2.8. Again, this is the old f-mount one. I would like to update this to the Z mount just because it should be better. But the images I get out of this are great. I really don't have a problem with what I get out of this lens. You do have to have, again, the adapter, has a bit of weight, whatever. I'm still doing fine with this. So like all the breakdance events I shoot, I'll start with this. A lot of Red Bull events, I'll have this on my camera 80% of the time just because I can get that much closer to the subject and that much closer to the action and things like that. So yeah, this is just like, it's a bread and butter lens, 24-70, 70-200. It's those two lenses can cover so much when you're first starting out in events and things like that. And then as you find you need something for low light, well, grab a 85 1.8 or a 50 1.4 or a 35 1.4 or things like that and start building out your kit. But I think a 24-70 is a great place to start. It's so versatile when you can get in close and things like that. And it's a great lens, and I never don't have this in my kit when I'm shooting professionally because it's just so versatile. Now, again, would I have this out in the street shooting? It'd be convenient to have, but that's not my style. I prefer prime lenses when I'm out shooting my street photography and things like that, and I prefer more bokeh, open lenses, because sometimes it's really dark in the street at night and things like that. So every bit of open aperture you can get is better. But as far as professionally, yeah, like these two lenses will take 80% of the images I'll take on any job. And then as I've gotten kind of like, 80% of the shots I know I need and I still have time left, well, then I'll, throw on the 85 and play. Or I'll, throw on the 125 or the 105 and just see what I can get. So as the tier of my, preference and requirement goes, These are the two lenses I use first, usually. A lot of traffic out here today. And then I'll start to play with other lenses as time allows and as specific situations pop up. Maybe I need a really wide shot of an arena and the 24 just doesn't quite get it. Well then, pull out the fisheye and see what I can do with that. This is a long video. I've been talking out here for about half an hour now, but in general, hopefully this is helpful, good information. If you have specific questions on specific aspects of the lenses that I have, こんにちは。何かありますか？はい、ありがとうございます。Ah, water bottle for my wife. Anyways, yeah, so if you have any specific questions on the lenses I mentioned, hit me up. And again, these are just what I've collected over the years. I would love to replace many of these lenses with better lenses, but the want versus need is kind of still in my head there. So do I want them? Of course. Do I need them? Not really. I'm doing pretty good without them, so yeah. So anyways, yeah. I never know how to finish these things, like I've said before, but anyways, I hope you guys liked the video. Hit me up, leave any comments, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Hopefully you don't die in the heat. I'm going to go shooting tomorrow and probably just melt my brain off. So anyways, talk to you soon.